All right, Stuart Hardy with All In Sports Outreach here with another episode of our podcast. Tonight, you're going to hear from Reagan Milliken from Ohio State softball. And before we get into her story, I just want to give a shout out to the Jesus One apparel team and thank them for sponsoring. Visit them at jesusoneapparel.com. So, Reagan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm really excited to talk about Jesus.
Absolutely. So let's start this out with I like for the listeners just to kind of get a glimpse of who you are. So just give us a glimpse of maybe where you grew up, your family growing up, and then also just touch on if you did you grow up in a family of faith, and at what point did you decide to make that relationship with Jesus your own?
Yeah. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which I think is a great distance from my school, Ohio State. It's less than 3 hours, so it's perfect. I think I can go home, see my family all the time. They come out to a bunch of games. I love it. Um, but for me, faith growing up, I grew up Methodist, and so when I was younger, I grew up like going to church every Sunday. And that was like the thing. Like we went to church every Sunday, but other than that, like we didn't really talk about Jesus or our faith like outside of church. Sometimes we would talk about like praying before you go to bed. But that was really it. There wasn't really like much of a relationship to it.
Hmm.
Um, and then obviously I got busy with softball and wasn't able to really to um get go to church on Sundays anymore. So I kind of like lost that a little bit. Um, but then when I got to high school, like I said, I was Methodist. So then I got usually I think people get confirmed in the Methodist church in like eighth grade or something. And my sister was about to go through that, but I was a senior in high school because we're 4 years apart. And I never did it. And I was like, I want to do that. So then I ended up doing that. And it was like right before I got to college, I kind of started getting back into it and kind of like started reading my Bible more. But then once I got to college, like I really just dove into my faith. And now I go to a Christian church and I just like call myself Christian. And I really, that's like where it took off for me and making it like my own and more of like a relationship.
That's awesome. And we'll talk about faith here in a minute. I want to talk just a little bit about your sports and your career. So how'd you end up at Ohio State?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm from Pittsburgh, but I did play on a travel team in Ohio my whole life. I was on the same team and it's called the Ohio Lasers, but everyone obviously they were all from Ohio, mainly a couple of girls from like other girls from out of state, but everyone always talk about like Ohio State or like Buckeye football's games on tonight, like we gotta all watch it together, stuff like that. And um I would say the only like thing like sport team that I really liked were the Steelers. I still love the Steelers, but I was like kind of like, oh, like what is this like Ohio State thing? And so then I kind of like got into that and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I just started going to camps and I just loved the school. Like I love just the energy, like all the traditions are here. It's really just such an amazing place. And like I said, I love the distance from home too because it's not far. Like my parents get to come out just to about every game that we have at home. And I can still go home in the fall whenever we're not practicing, really anytime I want. So that's kind of how I end up here.
That yeah, 3 hours is perfect,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, my oldest is a junior in college and he's about six and a half. And it's yeah,
Yeah.
three would be better. Three would be
Yeah.
better. Yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of our guests and listeners, a lot of our guests in the past have been coaches. I know a lot of listeners are coaches. So I like to ask athletes, is there a coach or two that's had that like really profound, it doesn't have to be spiritually, it could be just athletically, like impact on you that you would give a shout out to?
Oh man. I've had a lot of great coaches in my life. I also played basketball too, all the way up until I graduated. And so I've had my high school basketball coach is great too. I love her. But I'm gonna have to say, oh, this is so hard. Um, I would honestly say my coaching staff right now that I have that just came into
Yeah.
Ohio State, um, they're just so amazing, honestly. All the way around of just like coaching and obviously like knowing their stuff, but then like developing you as a person and really like caring for you as a person as
Hmm.
well. Like we had to do service hours in the fall. Everyone had to get 10. Um they brought in like people from the army and the military to work on us, like mental toughness and stuff and like working together. And then obviously like I said, like obviously they know what they're talking about with softball too. So that's been it's really been just such a blessing. And then I would say for more like faith wise, I would probably say Coach Witt. She was our hitting coach my last two, so not this year, but my sophomore year and my junior year. She came in and she was great too. I love Coach Witt, and she was probably my first coach that I've ever talked about like faith with. I spoke at this thing we have at Ohio State called Cross Sports, just like an athlete
Hmm.
Bible study type of thing. And she would always come watch whenever I would speak, and she came whenever some teammates and I got baptized. And so I'm really grateful for her.
That's awesome. That's good. And what you're describing your current staff, I could be wrong, but it seems like maybe it's outside looking in, but in the NIL transfer portal world, finding a coaching staff that cares about you as a person is not as common, right? Because
Yeah,
it's a
I
revolving door.
I yeah, I've never been in the portal, but I would definitely say that it is such a blessing to have them and that they actually do care about you. And
Yeah,
I mean, she's always like my door's always open in the office. We go up there, hang out with them all the time in the office. Just they're fun to be around, honestly.
that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
So, being a Division I athlete is, I mean, it's basically a job, right? But you're also a student and you're involved in other activities as well. So how do you balance that and then care for your spiritual life when, you have softball and school as well?
Yeah. Um, I would just say, me and my teammate Cami, we always talk we were kind of like the first two people on our team whenever I came in freshman year that were like outwardly about our faith and started really like going to the cross sports and stuff but we just talked about how you're gonna make time for what's important to you. So obviously, like I love softball. I play softball. So if I want to do extra work, like no matter how much homework I have or like whatever, I'm gonna go make sure that I get my extra practice in. And for a long time, I kind of um wasn't necessarily doing that with my faith like I said till I got to college and then still even as I got into college I was like doing devotionals and like going to church and stuff but I didn't really start like consistently reading my Bible till like pretty recently honestly where I'm trying to do it every day and it really hit me actually whenever we had to read a book called Mind Gym over Christmas break for our team. And obviously, over Christmas break, there's no class, no homework, anything. And so, I had to read it. I was like, well, I got time to read it. I was like, it kind of like hit me. I was like, well, I have all this time and I'm making time to read this book, but I'm not reading my Bible every day. So that kind of like hit me. I was like, I really got to start doing that. And I've been a lot better at it actually. And I can really tell a difference. Like, in my perspective and everything. But did that answer your question? Did that answer your question? I don't know if
Yeah,
I kind
absolutely. Yeah. No,
of
it's good.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, I tell myself this all the time. I tell my kids that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. You do what's important to you.
Mm,
I mean, that's it. And you mentioned Cami, so just a note to those that listened, if you missed that episode, I think it's probably three before this, go check
yeah.
that one out too.
Yeah, I listened to
Um,
that one a couple weeks ago, I think.
yeah, full of energy, full of
Oh yeah.
energy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is a fun question since we kind of relaunched the podcast in January, talking mostly to athletes. There's a revival going on across the country in college athletics. I think it's been going on longer than this year, but it got, I'd say famous, but it did. It got known through social media this year. And actually a lot of it in the social media world, it happened in Ohio State in
Mhm.
August, right? With a group of football players leading something on campus. So talk about being a college athlete in 2024, 2025, when I think never before have we seen this. More athletes bold in their faith, and it's legit, right? So talk about being a part of it. I mean, I saw a picture, um, was it last week, 2 weeks ago? Y'all were in Florida as a group of y'all doing a Bible study on the bus, right? So I mean, so it's real. So just talk about being a part of that.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say it's just incredible. It's honestly amazing. I mean, talking about like the revival thing that happened in August with the football team. I mean, that was just insane. They said that they've been praying about that and trying to put that into works for like 2 years, and it was just insane. So many people got baptized. Like it was an incredible event. And then just like seeing it really just on our campus and with everything. I think like when they played in the national championship, they were all there. I saw a picture of like almost everyone on the team just like praying before the game. And I know Notre Dame football too, like they've been kind of outwardly about their faith as well. And so, like, I really just don't think it's a coincidence at all that both of those teams were in the national championship and able to, like, talk about the Lord. And when any interview, like, they're always bringing up the Lord and even got the reporters to ask questions about their faith, which I just think it's like incredible. Um, it's just been really cool to see. It's really inspiring too. Because I know like obviously the football like has all a lot of the attention and everything, but like a lot of the other sports at Ohio State have also been doing just like amazing things as well. Like in our cross sports, a lot of us have started doing like the Bible studies within our teams, like praying before our games and stuff. We started out on our team my freshman year. We heard about other teams doing that, and I think Cami talked about this, but the how it was only like three of us when it started, and then, by the next time we start praying, it's been just like growing, and now we have like over half the team that just comes out and prays with us before every game. And at cross sports, you talk to people on other teams, and everyone's starting a Bible study and bringing their teammates to church and things like that, and bringing their teammates to Bible to the cross sports. And it's honestly just amazing. Like I've even seen like cross sports grow in general, like as a group, how many people are there every week. It's gone to the point where you have to like pull up a chair to sit by your friends with your teammates at a table. So it's honestly just incredible. I really think God is moving here in so many different ways within so many different teams here. It's amazing to see.
And that's what's so encouraging because what we sitting at home see is Travion Henderson, G.
Yeah.
Scott, right?
Yeah.
Um, and Master Teague actually was on probably 3 years ago when he was still
Mhm.
at Ohio State. He was a guest on here, so I've gotten to know him, and so seeing him kind of lead out in that.
Yeah.
But I've seen it just through being a part of a little bit of sports ministry. It's happening in girls softball across the
Hmm.
country. It's not
Hmm.
just Ohio State, right?
Hmm.
And you see it in some boys basketball, and that's what's incredible because football, to your point,
Yeah.
gets all the attention because that's
Hmm.
where everybody watches,
Yeah.
right? But seeing it, and it's at all levels too. It's just to me, it's amazing, and it's like, and I think it inspires people. Kind of goes to another question. I think it inspires people who may be on the fence.
Hmm.
They are a follower of Christ, but they're not sure how to take the next step and be bold. So that's the next question I want to ask you is, athletics is a platform and it can be used for bad as well, but it's a platform, that can be used for a lot of good. So what would you say to an athlete or a coach that understands that platform but is struggling with, they don't know how to take the next step and being bold? How would you encourage them to do that?
Yeah. Uh, I would just say, you're a believer, you understand, Jesus died for you, you accepted him into your heart, you're living for him. Like, make it known. He is giving you everything that you have, every like good thing and bad thing. Like, there's a reason for it, and just make it known that you're doing whatever you're doing for him. I, like whenever I play softball, like every day I'm doing it because he has blessed me with the abilities that I have and the place that I'm in and the platform that is comes with that. And so like um how could you not just like be so
Mm.
grateful and have so much gratitude towards the Lord and just like glorify him for that every day. And obviously like um whenever he blesses you with something, it doesn't mean like if you do like you shouldn't like work harder at it or anything because you don't want to make like don't get confused with like the pride and everything, but like I think whenever I know like whenever he blesses you with something, like you should still do it like at what you're the best that you can. And so I think that's another way that you can like glorify him by doing it too, because like he's given me all these talents and abilities, and it would be like a shame if I didn't work hard every day, because then it would be kind of like a waste of my blessing.
No, that's really good. I think it's also would not be an accurate witness to others, right? Um, I think as Christians, we should be the hardest working people, whether you're in sports or no matter what your career, you should be the hardest working person,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes we don't always exhibit that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think you see it in sports too, because sometimes not all, some people think, I'm going to use the word soft.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter, but I feel like it's perfectly fine to be competitive and want to win every daggum
Yeah.
game, right?
Hmm.
Because God's given you that talent, and I think He wants you to go out there and compete.
Hmm.
So that's good. I like that. All right, this is my favorite question. I like to go back and look at these. So, some people have like a single Bible verse that they go to no matter what. Or I like to ask that, or is there one, you said you've been reading your Bible more lately. Is there a verse that, maybe as the season started, you lean into and that God's used to encourage you?
Yeah, so I would say when I first really started getting into my faith my freshman year, my favorite verse and still one of my favorites is Isaiah 60:22. When the time is right, I the Lord will make it happen. And during that time I was really struggling with like a waiting period of I wasn't playing and just feeling like very, very frustrated and um just like really trusting on God's plan for me. And so that's kind of like where I got that one from, and I love that one now because obviously sometimes it can feel like you're waiting for like multiple different things, even if you're like, oh, this is good, but now, you know. So I really like that one. I think it's very encouraging to just rest in the Lord. And then one that I like right now for season is James 1:17, I think. And I know there it's kind of long, but it's every good and perfect gift is
Hmm.
from above, shining down on the heavenly realms or something. Some around along those lines,
Yeah.
roughly. But I really like that one just because of I wrote that on my glove this year just because last year I got injured and I actually had I was out all season. I had double severe pneumonia and then my lung collapsed. So I had to get
Oh my
surgery and
gosh.
chest tubes and everything. And so I went from that and then to now playing, and I've just like really feel very humbled in the Lord and knowing that like this really is a gift and every gift is from him to just step onto the field every day, even if it's just practicing every day. So, I love that one.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, that really would put some things in perspective, right? That it's
Yeah.
just a game of softball.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love that verse too. I love James 1, period.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
love that verse because it is a reminder that everything we have is it's a gift.
Hmm.
And I would be crazy just to waste it.
Hmm.
That's good stuff. All right, last question. You kind of talked a little bit about it, but so context. We got the name All In Sports Outreach, the first two words, all in. It's all over sports, right? Every sport, every coach says it, every player says it. We got it from Colossians 3:17, and whatever you do in word or deed, do it in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. It's kind of what we talked about a while
Yeah.
ago. I mean, if it's playing softball, go out there and try to win every game, work hard, compete. But I
Mhm.
like to ask people from a practical sense in your spiritual life, like daily rhythms, you say you make time for what's important. What does it look like for you to be all in your faith?
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of like hinted at this in like almost all my answers, but so like I said, like you're gonna make time for what's important to you. So for like I said, I've been trying to be a lot more disciplined at reading my Bible every day. And then I also have found like I want to start. my day with the Lord too. It's too hard for me to read my Bible every morning just because my days are so different every day. I can't like get in a good routine that way. So I usually I've been doing like a Bible reading plan, trying to read the whole Bible. So I do that at night before I go to bed. And then in the morning when I wake up, if I'm like driving to the facility, driving to class, whatever I'm doing, maybe I'm just like it's an easy morning. I can just do it in my apartment, but I'll just do like a devotional in the morning. So that way I want to be spending time with the Lord right when I wake up and then also like spending time with him right before I go to bed. I also too like I listen to a lot of worship music whenever I'm driving around or walking to class or um just things like that. Just kind of like really just brings like a calming presence, very peaceful. Um I also do like a devotional every night before I go to bed with Cami. We lived, so I go do that with her. Um, and yeah, just trying to talk to the Lord as much as I can throughout the day, because He is going to provide you that peace and really just helps you remember of like how much of a blessing everything is, and just like try to give Him thanks for as much as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I just think it's you just take the little opportunities that you have every during the day, right? It's crazy how once I started, whether I'm going for a walk or a run or
Mhm.
whatever I'm doing, just listening, changing what I listen to on the radio
Yeah,
to just put in some worship music. It's amazing how that can change your attitude for the day.
it
Just something
is. I agree.
simple like that. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's awesome. Well, thank you again for being on and just sharing a little bit about yourself. And I know it encourages me. I know somebody listening. I say this a lot. I don't know if I say it every time, but I do believe that a lot of these, if nobody ever listens, God uses it to encourage me. So I appreciate that. And as we close out, I just want to thank the listeners for listening and whatever platform you listen through, hit subscribe. There's a lot of episodes before and there's more coming. And then also just visit jesusoneapparel.com and show some love and support to our sponsors, Jesus One.